Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. Our topic is global integration, a subject that's more relevant than ever in our interconnected world. Over the next few slides, we'll explore how economies, cultures, and societies are becoming more linked, and why effective collaboration across borders is essential. So let's get started and see what this fascinating journey into global integration has in store for us. Developing countries rely heavily on extensive global networks that are essential to their economies and daily lives. These networks include vital supply chains for necessities like food and medicine, as well as flows of capital, tourism, and participation in international labor markets. Because of this interdependence, any disruption in global systems can have serious repercussions. While large, developed economies often have more resources to withstand the impacts of isolationism, they are not entirely immune. They can still experience significant effects when global cooperation falters. However, developing countries are generally more vulnerable because they depend even more on these international connections. When nationalist or protectionist policies come into play during crises, these nations are often hit hardest. As we face what is arguably the most significant health and economic crisis in nearly a century, the importance of international cooperation has never been more evident. Our interconnected world means that challenges in one part of the globe can quickly affect others, making global integration essential for recovery and stability. This slide highlights the critical need for maintaining strong international relationships and working together to navigate these complex challenges. It's a reminder that global cooperation isn't just beneficial, it's vital for all nations, especially those most dependent on these interconnected systems. When we look at these challenges, it's clear that collaborative global solutions are absolutely essential. This crisis is complex and interconnected, so no single country can tackle it alone. By working together, the international community can pool resources, share knowledge, and develop strategies that address the root causes and impacts of the crisis more effectively. This kind of cooperation helps us mitigate the devastating effects on both people's lives and their livelihoods around the world. Addressing these challenges requires global integration, especially for developing nations that are still grappling with the pandemic and trying to recover. Coordinated action is crucial, not just to support these nations, but to create a more equitable and resilient future for everyone. This crisis also highlights the urgent need for coordinated global efforts. The challenges are multifaceted, ranging from famine and disease to the disproportionate impact on our most vulnerable populations. Without collaboration, it's nearly impossible to prevent widespread devastation. Ultimately, the message is clear. Global solutions are not just helpful, they are necessary. Only through unified, collective efforts can we hope to overcome these complex challenges and build a stronger, more resilient world. Making international cooperation and exchange more dependable and resilient in times of crisis is absolutely crucial. It helps reduce the vulnerability of nations, especially developing ones, which are often more exposed to the shocks of global crises. When countries work together effectively, they can better withstand challenges and recover more quickly. Now, there's a clear need for resilient cooperation. Developing countries, in particular, are very vulnerable when the global crisis response becomes fragmented. This highlights just how urgent it is to strengthen international cooperation and ensure that exchange remains reliable, even in tough times. If we look at the impact of nationalist measures, these often surface during crises. While they might seem like a way to protect a country's own interests, they can actually make the economic downturn worse. They tend to prolong the crisis and increase its severity because a fractured global response isn't enough to address the issues effectively. So, in essence, fostering resilient and dependable international cooperation isn't just beneficial. It's essential for reducing vulnerabilities and managing crises more effectively, especially for those most at risk. Now, let's take a closer look at what global integration really means. Essentially, it's about how countries, economies, and societies are becoming more interconnected and interdependent than ever before. This isn't just about trade or business. It's a broader phenomenon that touches on many aspects of our lives. At its core, global integration involves breaking down the barriers that once separated nations, whether those barriers were physical, like borders, or regulatory, like tariffs and restrictions. When these barriers are reduced or eliminated, goods, services, capital, and information can move more freely across borders. This increased flow helps foster cooperation and economic growth, but it also means that what happens in one part of the world can quickly influence others. Throughout this presentation, we're exploring how this interconnectedness shapes our global landscape, affecting everything from markets to culture. Global integration isn't just about policies or economic plans. It's really about a natural progression that has been happening for a long time. It reflects how human interaction, communication, and trade have gradually become more interconnected across the world. As technology keeps advancing, we see that the world is becoming more and more connected than ever before. This makes it increasingly difficult to resist or try to reverse this trend. The movement of goods, ideas, information, and people across borders is now an essential part of our daily lives. This slide highlights the inevitability of this process, emphasizing that global integration is a natural outcome of how societies and economies evolve over time. It's a key concept that ties into the overall theme of how interconnected our world has become. Let's take a closer look at how global integration acts as a catalyst for innovation. When countries and companies collaborate internationally, they share knowledge, technology, and best practices. This kind of sharing not only sparks new ideas, but also helps improve existing ones, leading to greater productivity and economic progress. Moving on to the concept of international collaboration, it's important to understand that countries often specialize in industries where they have a comparative advantage. By focusing on these areas, they can produce goods and services more efficiently and at a lower cost. This specialization boosts their competitiveness in the global marketplace, making them more attractive to international buyers. And then, there's the benefit of larger markets. When countries are integrated globally, they gain access to bigger customer bases, which means more sales opportunities. This expansion can result in increased revenue, fueling economic growth and overall prosperity. So ultimately, global integration fosters innovation, enhances competitiveness, and opens up new markets, all of which drive economic prosperity on a broader scale. Now, let's talk about how the blending of cultures during global integration truly enriches the diversity of our societies. This diversity is not just a nice thing to have. It's a real source of strength. It sparks creativity and innovation because people are exposed to different perspectives and ideas. When we embrace this diversity, it creates a richer tapestry of human expression and experience, making our communities more vibrant and dynamic. Moving on to enriching diversity through cultural exchange. This is about people sharing their traditions, customs, and ways of life. When we open ourselves up to these new ideas and experiences, our horizons broaden. It encourages us to be more open-minded, which is essential for building a more interconnected and harmonious global community. Finally, shared experiences play a crucial role. By fostering cultural exchange, we promote understanding and appreciation of different cultures and perspectives. This exchange helps break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and cultivate empathy and respect among people from all walks of life. All of these elements, diversity, exchange, understanding, tie back to our overall theme of how global integration can truly bring us closer together. Now, let's look at how collaborative efforts between nations and industries really amplify our ability to address complex global challenges. When countries and industries work together, they combine their best minds and resources, creating a powerful force for positive change. This kind of collaboration allows us to tackle issues that are too big for any one entity to solve alone. Moving on, technological advancements and the free flow of information play a crucial role here. They enable rapid innovation and problem-solving across the globe. When knowledge is shared openly and quickly, new solutions can be developed faster, and we can respond more effectively to emerging problems. This sharing of knowledge and technology across borders accelerates progress in many vital fields. Whether it's healthcare, where new treatments emerge faster, or environmental sustainability, where innovative solutions help protect our planet, the impact is profound. It's clear that working together, sharing insights and breakthroughs, really propels us forward more quickly than ever before. All of this ties back to the overall theme of our presentation. That collaboration and open exchange are key drivers of progress in today's interconnected world. As we see more interaction between people and cultures through globalization, there's a greater chance for mutual understanding and empathy to develop. This is really important because it helps break down barriers, reduces prejudices, and fosters a sense of shared humanity. Ultimately, these connections contribute to creating a more peaceful world. Now, when we talk about fostering mutual understanding, increased global integration encourages nations to resolve their disputes through diplomatic channels. Instead of resorting to confrontation or military action, countries can focus on cooperation and negotiation. This approach helps prevent conflicts from escalating and promotes a more stable international environment. This brings us to the idea of promoting diplomacy. When nations become more interconnected economically and socially, they have a lot more at stake in maintaining peaceful relations. Greater interdependence incentivizes them to work together rather than confront each other. And this naturally leads to conflict reduction. When countries see the benefits of cooperation, they're less likely to engage in disruptive conflicts. The interconnectedness creates incentives for peaceful solutions, which helps keep the global peace. So overall, these concepts are all about building a world where understanding and cooperation are prioritized, making conflicts less likely, and fostering long-term stability. Rather than resisting global integration, proponents argue that the world should work collectively to build a robust global system. This is a crucial shift in perspective, emphasizing cooperation over isolation. Such a system would aim to promote equity, ensuring that all nations and people have fair opportunities and resources. It also involves addressing global challenges like climate change, pandemics, and economic instability, problems that no single country can solve alone. Importantly, this approach seeks to create resilience, helping us withstand emerging threats and uncertainties. Ultimately, building a strong, collaborative global system aligns with the overall theme of working together for a better, more sustainable future. Now, let's talk about how globalization can be a force for good by empowering marginalized groups. When I say marginalized groups, I mean women, minorities, and the poor, those who often face barriers to accessing education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. The key idea here is that globalization should work to provide these groups with greater access to these vital resources. By doing so, we can help create a more inclusive and just global society where everyone has a fair chance to succeed. But it's important to recognize that globalization can also worsen inequality if the benefits aren't shared fairly. That's why promoting equity is so crucial. Equity means addressing the uneven distribution of wealth and resources, making sure that the gains from interconnectedness benefit all, not just a few. When we talk about promoting equity, we're really focusing on ensuring that everyone can access the opportunities created through globalization. And ultimately, our goal is to reduce poverty. To do that, we need to ensure that the benefits of globalization are distributed more equitably within and between countries. This approach helps lift people out of poverty and opens up new pathways for economic and social advancement for those who need it most. So, in summary, empowering marginalized groups, promoting equity, and reducing poverty are all interconnected. Together, they help us build a world where globalization works for everyone, fostering a more inclusive, fair, and sustainable global society. Let's talk about promoting collective action and multilateral frameworks to effectively address global problems. The key idea here is that no single nation can solve these challenges alone, so we need to work together. First, we must leverage global cooperation by pooling resources, sharing knowledge, and developing comprehensive solutions. This way, we can tackle complex cross-border issues more effectively. Think about global health crises or climate change. They require a united front. Next, coordinating responses to these challenges is crucial. Issues like pandemics, climate change, and terrorism demand international cooperation and resources. By working together, nations can respond more swiftly and efficiently. And ultimately, promoting collective action ensures that participation and burden sharing among nations are fair and equitable. When everyone contributes their part, our combined efforts are much more powerful and sustainable. This approach aligns perfectly with our overall goal of building a more united, resilient global community. When we work together across the globe, nations have the opportunity to share their knowledge and capabilities. This collaborative approach helps us develop stronger, more resilient solutions that can handle a wide variety of challenges. By pooling our expertise, we can create systems that are better prepared for shocks like economic downturns or health crises. It's really about building resilience through shared resources and collective effort. When countries come together, we're not just solving problems individually. We're strengthening the entire global community to withstand future challenges more effectively. Effective global integration really enables us to find a balance between our own national interests and the broader needs of the international community. When countries work together, they can better manage their priorities while contributing to global stability and development. This balancing act is crucial because it allows us to pursue our goals without neglecting our responsibilities on the world stage. By engaging with the global community, we can leverage international partnerships and access resources that might not be available domestically. These collaborations help us serve our national interests more effectively, whether that's through economic growth, security, or technological advancement. At the same time, protecting our national interests doesn't mean we have to go it alone or adopt an isolationist approach. Instead, we can safeguard our priorities through cooperation and diplomacy. This approach fosters mutual respect and understanding, making it easier to address complex global challenges together while still advancing our own goals. So, in essence, working within a global framework with a spirit of cooperation allows us to protect our interests while contributing positively to the international community. So, here we see that the alternative to global integration is actually erecting barriers and closing off a country from the rest of the world. Now, while this might seem like a quick fix, it can make a nation more vulnerable to future shocks. Isolationism, for example, might temporarily shield a country from certain external influences or economic fluctuations. However, the key point to remember is that this approach can have long-term negative consequences. By shutting out the world, a country risks missing out on opportunities, innovation, and the resilience that comes from being part of a connected global community. This ties into the overall theme that openness and integration often provide more stability and growth potential in the long run than isolation does. Protectionist policies can seem like a quick fix to protect domestic industries, but they often have the opposite effect on economic growth. When countries limit access to foreign markets, it reduces competition, which can lead to higher prices for consumers and less innovation. This ultimately stifles economic growth because businesses have fewer opportunities to expand and improve. Additionally, protectionist measures can damage trade relationships between countries. When trade barriers go up, the flow of goods, services, and investments across borders slows down. This can create tensions and reduce the overall economic cooperation that benefits everyone. Another critical point is how these policies disrupt global supply chains. Modern supply chains are highly interconnected, and any disturbance can cause shortages, delays, and higher costs for both businesses and consumers. These disruptions ripple through the economy, making products more expensive and less reliable. All of these factors highlight how protectionist policies can have serious economic consequences. They can hinder growth, strain international relationships, and destabilize global trade systems. This ties back to our overall theme. Sustainable economic development relies on open, cooperative trade policies that support growth and innovation. As our world becomes more interconnected, it's important to recognize that what one country does or the resources it has can significantly affect others. Addressing global challenges, therefore, really requires a coordinated, multilateral approach. By working together, the international community can pool its collective capabilities and resources to find effective solutions. Interdependence is a key concept here. Global problems don't respect borders, so solutions can't be isolated. When countries act alone, they miss out on the benefits of shared knowledge, resources, and collaboration, which are essential for tackling complex, interconnected issues. This brings us to the idea of shared responsibility. No single country has all the resources, expertise, or infrastructure needed to solve these challenges alone. This limitation can hinder their ability to respond effectively, especially when issues transcend national borders, requiring a collective effort. Finally, we often face a lack of capacity, limited resources, expertise, or infrastructure that can restrict a country's ability to address these global problems on its own. That's why international cooperation is so vital. It helps bridge those gaps and build a more resilient, capable global community. Les politiques isolationnistes peuvent vraiment limiter la capacité d'un pays à collaborer avec d'autres nations sur des défis et des opportunités partagées. Quand un pays choisit de s'isoler, il manque souvent des occasions de travailler ensemble sur des questions cruciales comme le changement climatique, la santé publique ou même les avancées technologiques. CES enjoue des impacts positifs à grande échelle, et l'intégration mondiale facilite justement la coopération sur ces sujets. C'est là que la coopération internationale devient essentielle. L'isolationnisme peut aussi faire perdre des opportunités en termes d'innovation et d'investissement. En étant connectés avec d'autres pays, on peut échanger des idées, des technologies, des ressources, ce qui stimule le progrès et la croissance économique. En résumé, l'intégration mondiale est possiblement une question de commerce ou de changes économiques. C'est aussi une façon de maximiser nos chances de résoudre des problèmes globaux et d'ouvrir la voie à un avenir plus innovant et prospère pour tous. As we reach the conclusion, it's important to recognize that global integration is really a natural outcome of the interconnected world we live in today. Instead of resisting this trend, many argue that we should focus on building a strong and resilient global system. Such a system can help bring prosperity to everyone, while also allowing us to coordinate effectively when challenges arise. The key point here is that embracing isolationism, trying to go it alone, is neither sustainable nor beneficial in the long run. When countries and communities work together responsibly, interconnectedness becomes a powerful force for positive change. This approach, managing our interconnectedness wisely, really offers the best path forward, not just for individual nations, but for global well-being as a whole. So, in the broader context of our presentation, it's clear that cooperation and integration are essential for addressing the complex issues of our time and creating a more prosperous, stable future for all. As we come to the end of our presentation, I want to emphasize that global integration is a powerful force that connects us all. It requires us to address global issues, such as climate change, inequality, and health crises, ensuring that the benefits of this interconnectedness are shared fairly across all nations and communities. Of course, with these opportunities come challenges. Managing diversity, cultural, economic, political, can be complex, and finding the right balance between local interests and global needs is often a delicate task. But at the heart of it all, global integration reflects the reality we live in. A world where businesses, economies, cultures, and societies are increasingly intertwined. To sum up, this interconnectedness is not just a trend, it's the new normal. It offers incredible opportunities for growth and collaboration, but also requires us to be thoughtful and proactive in addressing the challenges that come with it. This is the essence of global integration and the key to shaping a more connected and equitable future for everyone.